What you see here is a mess, mostly due to the fact that I have to earn a living in my day job. I guess I ought to raise that camera a little bit, huh? There we go. Mostly because I have to earn a living in my day job, cutting molds for people in the fishing tackle industry. Fishing tackle industry. My various projects have kind of accumulated in this space. As you can see, there's a pottery kiln right there. No, I don't intend to become a potter. What I want to do is salvage the heating elements and the thermocouples out of it to make a much smaller heat treat oven. Maybe recycle some of the stainless steel. Up there's a gas tank and an outboard motor and a bunch of stuff laying on the floor that I haven't put away or thrown away as need be. And a bumper for my Jeep that I've had for 4 years. I bought the Jeep in 2017, it's 2023, and the front hitch bumper is still sitting there. So what I'm going to do today is try and just get some of this stuff out of the way. And as odd as it may seem, getting one of those things permanently out of the way so it isn't a problem anymore is going to involve installing this. I said hitch bumper, I meant winch bumper. I don't have a winch to go on it yet, but the bumper will take up a lot less space and never be in the way in the shop if it's connected to my Jeep. Now the old bumper might be in the way in the shop, but, well, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. This is the reason why I need to clear some space out. Yep, this boat right here that looks like it's just piled full of garbage. It actually isn't. That's all blocks of flotation that'll go back in the floor. And I've done a fair bit of work already on it. All of these ribs had steel screws in it, which I had to either back out or cut out. And most of the rivets holding them in place had corroded away, so I put in brand new stainless steel rivets. And this section here in the front was all warped out of shape, so I had to pull it back together and rivet in place. But it's just too frickin' hot to work out here. I'm serious. I did a lot of that work out here in the sun, and I'm just too old for that. Ah, I see I got the camera pointed at my chest again. I did a lot of that work out here in the sun, and I'm just getting too old for that. So I'm trying to make some space inside the shop, so maybe I'll get a little more work done and we can get forward on this project. Getting all of that crap put away or thrown away. nuts and bolts and shackles. What I'm looking for is instructions. Well, there it is. And there are no instructions, which honestly I probably don't need, but I still would have liked to have had some. I guess I'll just have to do like everybody else and see if I can find a Rumble video on how to take this bumper off. Now, before anybody says I should have saved that box in case I have to send it back, I bought that bumper probably 4 or 5 years ago off of eBay. It's kind of hard to get an eBay vendor to make right on a bad product 4 or 5 days after you bought it. I'm sure I'd have a hard time even finding who sold this 4 or 5 years ago. Alrighty. I got this correct. The first thing I need to do is remove this plastic air dam down here on the bottom. And there are 4 little plastic clips across the front and 2 in the back. Let's see if we can zoom in on one of those. I do have a little plastic pry bar for these, but in past I've removed clips like that with not appropriate tools. But we'll use the actual correct pry bar. Anyway, there's 4 of those across the front and 2 more in the back, and let's get that thing removed. That's almost a good view. I'm not in particular a fan of Harbor Freight, but as you can see here, we've got a Harbor Freight brand, Pittsburgh Automotive, brand of nylon pry bars. Got a nice assortment here. And this is the type of work they're intended for, so let's see if we can get this out. Well, let's start with one we can get to easily. Popped out easy. Alright, that's the 4 in the front. Now let's see if I can find the 2 in the back. Alright, I'm going to have to take the camera out of there, so I'm not working around the darn camera. Oh, there it goes. Alright. Once I get it unbolted, I don't know how easy this bumper is going to fall off. So I probably need to disconnect these lights first. Well, that's easy. They just come off, these little plugs unplug, but the wiring harness is also clipped to the back of the bumper. Oh, some parts for another project arrived. Lovely. More stuff in the way. Alright. I'm going to have a hard time getting that second nut off from between the bumper and that pump that's back here. So I'm going to see if I can make it a little easier if I can take these two nuts off on the outside, slide it forward a little bit. Which means I need another 18mm socket. Reinforcing plate of some kind. All right. Yep. Yep, there's still one clip in there holding that wiring loom on. Hey! I don't think we destroyed the wire harness, or the wire loom, or whatever it is. Alright. Pretty sure this is going to have to come off. Maybe not. Looks like that upper air dam or air skirt doesn't have to come off. Looks like this fits on above it. It looks like it's all the way on. Of course, I'm going to have to take it right back off in order to do the wiring, but we kind of expected that. Let's take a look at what it's going to look like, though. All that backlight from the sun coming in the door. Yeah. See, the reason I'm going to have to mess around with it some is all of the lights in the new bumper just are pigtailed. Oh, sorry about the camera. I don't know if you can see it, but the lights in the old bumper have plugs directly on the wiring harness. I don't know, I kind of like those tow hooks. I wonder if I can salvage those. Probably not. Alright, here's where we're at. I don't have to do anything with this right now because, you know, the fog lights never get used around here. But here's what plugged into the fog lights on the existing headlamp, the old original bumper, and I don't know if you can see it or not. Hopefully, has more fog lights on the new bumper, and they're just little pigtails. So I need to probably extend all those pigtails. And cut these off, I guess, so that I can splice into them. All right, let's try that again. The existing wiring harness pigtails out right about here, or about this side right about here relative to the bumper mounts. So I'll need to extend this wire right here over to about here. I may want to extend this one a little bit. Then over there, hey, maybe we can see something. I'll need to extend this one over to here, and I might need to extend that one a little bit. And it's all black, so in spite of all my effort to improve the lighting, I failed. So we'll mostly just show this side over here where you can see something. I'm about ready to put a pigtail on this if it's correct. That way I'll be able to plug it directly into the wiring harness in the Jeep instead of having to cut into it. But I guess the first thing I need to do is take this over to the Jeep and see if it's actually a match. Kind of looks like it should be, but it'd be nice to know. Oh, it's nice, it's sealed on the back. That's a good thing, because I was planning on waterproofing all the other connections. Alright, let's go over to the Jeep. I'll see you there. Alright, here's the wiring harness where it comes up to the front bumper. This should all snap back into the holes right here, if I've got this figured correctly. And this has got quite a bit of range, but the plug is definitely on the inside of the bumper mounts. Now let's check to make sure that we got this right. Looks like it'll go in that way. Looks like it won't go in that way. So it looks like this is probably the right plug. Alright, this is obviously what mounts up with the bumper mount. And this light's wires are just a little short to reach over here. Where these ones look like they, basically if we put on a plug on them, the wiring harness would reach it. So let's clip this off. And, whoop, almost clipped the wrong end. Clip that off and get to work here. I hope you guys can see that. But all I'm doing is extending the amount they're stripped a little bit. And I'm going to try those melt them together slices. I'm sure you guys have all seen those advertisements on the internet, on Facebook or social media for these things. I wasn't really impressed with them the first time I tried them. But I did do an experiment with them recently, and they seem to work. So I don't know if I wasn't doing it right the first time, or if I'm doing it wrong now, or what. First time I did it, this little part right here, that's like the low melt solder, didn't seem to melt. Okay. That'll go in there, no problem. Is there a smaller one that we could try? Nope, there's a smaller one. That definitely won't go in it. Okay. So what we're going to do is this. Alright. I got to get my heat. Actually, you know what? Let's get the other one ready too at the same time. Oh, I'm not real impressed with that one. Anyway, what's supposed to happen is this little solder dab, low melt solder in the middle, is supposed to melt and give you a solder quality or near solder quality connection. And then the rest of the heat shrink tube is supposed to shrink around it and completely seal the area around the splice. And I'm sure I'm doing a terrible job of showing you what I'm doing on the camera. So I'll stop the camera and take an up-close picture. So this is a pretty hot heat gun. And when I did my test a little while ago, that little low melt solder actually melted. One of the problems I have is that I need to bring these wires over here, and the bumper mount goes right here. So I'm not sure the best way to get there. Alright. Alright, let's see if we can get in there and get a hold of that wire. Not quite. Okay, the end of the wire's right there. Hey! Alright, that should be fine. As long as it reaches. Now what I should do is carry this bumper over to the Jeep. and make sure it actually works before I start messing around with the other side. Now, electrical tape actually is an insulator, but I don't think it's actually code to use it as an insulator for anything anymore. In other words, it will, but all I'm using it for here, and this is some quality 3M Templex, is to hold this little piece of loom that's protecting that splice together. That's it. I'll go tape past the loom on this end, and I'll tape past it on the other end to hopefully hold it in place. And its only goal really is to hold this in place so that this can protect the that splice. Oh, it's been a long time since I used a roll of tape for anything. My skills are off. Alright. Yeah, I think I'm going to walk this over to the Jeep and see if it works before I wire up the other side. There's a little more to mounting it than this, but this is just to check that that light works. Now let's go see if I can even figure out how to turn the fog lights on. I don't think I've ever turned them on before. Well, obviously they're not turning on. Well, those fog lights are pretty bright. Alright, let's go wire the plug up on the other one, on the other side. Off camera, I went ahead and wired up the other plug to match this one. Basically the same as the first one. Alright, before I put any nuts on, I want to make sure I'm not pinching those wires. But there's not much more for you guys to see other than the side of my face. You can, I don't know if you can even see the wiring harness hanging down, but I got to snap that in place and make sure there are no wires going to be pinched when I tighten up the bolts, but there's not much for you guys to see, so I'll cut anyway, there used to be hooks that stuck up on the old bumper setup. On the new one, it's got these welded on. These clevises go through for your tie points if you need somebody to help pull you out. But those will clank against the bumper going down the road, so those are going to go in the little tool compartment in the back. There's my hat. This misplaced this the other day when we started this project. And that's it for now. Squeak. For now. That's it for now. And when the winch gets here, we'll put it on. I'm not too worried about it. Mostly I gained about 12 extra square feet of space here by getting that new bumper out of here.